All right, this begins the STEM podcast for Chapter 19, Populations. There are 3 separate podcasts. This is the podcast for Section 1, Understanding a Population. All right, populations have certain properties. First, let's define what a population is. Population is a group of organisms that belong to the same species and live at a particular place at the same time. So all of these pigs are a certain species. They're living in that pen at the same time. Same thing for a city. Populations can be measured, and we did that in our lab, in terms of size. They can look at population density, how the population are dispersed or dispersion, growth rate, age structure, and survivorship. And that's what we're going to talk about today. All right, population size is defined as the number of individuals that the population contains. It's difficult to measure directly if there's a lot of individuals. If the population is small, it's easy to get population size. You would just count them up. Often, though, populations are bigger and you can't just count them up easily. So scientists have to estimate population size, which is what we did with our fish lab. You do this by counting the number of individuals in a small section, then estimating based on the size of the sampled area. There is potential for error with this method. Another property of populations was population density. As you can see on this map, the darker blue areas are more dense than the lighter areas in the United States. Population density is defined as a measure of how crowded the population is. It's always expressed as a number of individuals per unit of area or volume. Another property was dispersion. Population dispersion describes the distribution of individuals within the population. There are 3 types. They can be random, uniform, or clumped. Random population dispersion is very random. Each individual's location is independent of the locations of the other individuals in the population. It's very rare that organisms would live in a random population dispersion. Uniform dispersion. Individuals are separated by a fairly consistent distance. It may result from social behavior in which individuals within the same habitat stay as far away from each other as possible. It also may result from territorial animals defending their area. Here's an example. Gannets choose a nesting area on the coast and they fend it against the other birds. So you can see they're very uniformly spaced out. The last one is clumped population dispersion, and this is when individuals are clustered together. Often occurs when resources are grouped together. It also could occur due to social behavior where mating happens. It is the most common way that you will see animals or populations dispersed. There's some examples. Okay. All right, so we have clumped over here, even, and random. Population dynamics. Some other terms you should recognize. Birth rate is the number of births occurring in a period of time. In the U.S., 4 million births per year is an example of a birth rate. Death rate, or it is also called mortality rate, is the number of deaths in a period of time. In the United States, 2.6 million deaths per year. Life expectancy is how long on average, an individual is expected to live. In the United States in 2003, the life expectancy of a man was 74 and a woman was 80. Another property of populations is age structure. This is an age structure diagram. It shows a breakdown of the age groups, okay, from 0 to 80 plus, for 3 different areas. Nigeria, which is growing rapidly. You can see that it has rapid growth because there are a lot more younger people than there are older people. Slow growth, like in the United States, it's kind of even. There's a lot of middle age, and it's not really, it's slowly growing, but not as rapid as Nigeria. And a declining growth, Germany would see less down here and more up in the upper ages. And so you can see this is a number of people in millions, and it also is broken down by male and female. So age structure indicates the percentage of individuals at each age. It's often presented in graphs. The last one is survivorship curves. This shows the probability that members of a population will survive to a certain age. There are three types. Type 1 has a low mortality until late in life, which is humans, us. Type 2 is birds, where you have constant mortality throughout your life. And type 3, there's high mortality early in life, followed by low mortality for the remaining lifespan. And that example is insects. Okay, so here's a graph showing that. Type 1, you live a long time, percent surviving throughout your age. As you get older, then mortality rate gets high. Type 2, it's pretty constant for your age according to your death. And type 3, a lot of them will die right away at the beginning of their life, and then if they make a certain age, then they will survive a long time. And that finishes section 1.